And welcome to the Evidence and Reasons for the Christian Faith video channel. Hopefully this will just be a brief show. I'm going to be covering some lessons, my understanding of lessons in rhetoric. When we try to debate people, sometimes we give away, we give them authority that they really never had over us. They act as if you don't convince them, they'll pretend that therefore they must, they are right. And really it's just that they're not convinced. And so that can be frustrating, but then we have to recognize when they're starting to put themselves into a position of authority and being, acting as if they're the final judge of what's true and real, etc., etc. And I call this having a God complex. And when you call them out on it, they get really upset because they claim there's no God, especially if these are atheists, I'm sorry. If they're atheists, they claim there's no God, and yet they act as if they are God. There are people that are not like that, but the anti-theist variety really act as if they're God. There are atheists who are just really, they're pretty much agnostic, they're unconvinced, and they're open-minded. So one has to make a distinction with the kind of atheist one is dealing with. I had a very unpleasant encounter with someone named Docta Osiris on Hive Science, on the Hive Science channel. Now, the owner's Hive Science channel, we could not be farther apart in viewpoints, worldviews, but the owner has been somewhat supportive of me in my fight against Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind claims to be a creationist. I'm a creationist, but I don't see eye to eye with him, and a lot of his fan club hates me for pointing out things I don't like. Now, what's happening back there is the World Series. It looks like it's the 9th inning, and the Astros tied with the Phillies in Game 1, 0-0. So just filling you all in on what I'm doing. So greetings this great night in October. And it's 49 degrees outside here in Virginia. So let's see. There was, so this was, I may put this in the video description. This was the video in question, the live stream in question, where I interacted with Docta Osiris. He's a moderator there at Hive Science. But anyway, let's get to Let's get to where he what the interaction was, and just to give you all a feel for what was being said. So let's get to it. See, I don't know if I could shrink this. Can I? I know what. I'll just move my icon down. Oops. Sorry. I'm learning how to do this on Streamlabs. Click. All right. Nope. Click. There. I'll figure this out, God willing. All right. So Docta Osiris opens up. He says, or it says, or whatever, says, "Hello, Evidence and Reasons." Evidence and Reasons is me. That's the name of my channel, and it doesn't, YouTube doesn't identify me as Sal, it just calls me Evidence and Reasons. I'm looking at your channel right now, and do you actually have, oh, sorry. I don't know why it's not showing. It's aggravating. Okay, let me just fix this a little bit. All right, let's start over. Let's reboot. He says, "Hello, Evidence and Reasons. I'm looking at your channel right now. Do you actually have evidence? Or is it just a sneaky channel name? No offense, by the way, just a bit confusing since nobody has produced Any evidence yet? Why haven't you let anyone know? And I respond, hey, Docta Osiris, what counts as evidence for me might not count as evidence for you. According to my definition of evidence, I've satisfied my requirements and the requirements of like-minded people. I visit here out of courtesy since Hive Science has shown support of me in some of my battles against Kent Hovind. And I'm sorry for the little question marks. I guess that's just the way it's rendering. And there's some interlocutors there. It says, I'm going to go to Aaron's Bible study. And he says, Hail Satan, which seems so blasphemous. Stand Kepop and go Devils. And Docta Osiris says, I just want to see if Evidence and Reasons was still in chat, but they answered eventually. So I'm editing out some of the comments in between. And Docta Osiris says, just to make sure you're aware, arguments are demonstrably not evidence. If that's all you have, then you've already failed. And I responded, okay, I accept I failed in your eyes, but I've not failed in mine. Docta Osiris responds, well, to a response like that, all I can say is that I feel bad for you and that you're incapable of critical thinking or looking up the definition of evidence. Okay, I need to point out something. Don't let the guy define for you what counts as evidence by referring to a dictionary definition or whatever. It's like, well, this is what I mean by evidence. If it doesn't work for you, then okay. Don't try to convince them. They're not there to be convinced. They're there to mock you. You have to recognize that. If they're, you have to recognize when they're going to be closed-minded. They'll just pretend to be open-minded. So, this is the pitfall that Christians fall into. They're sometimes too eager to try to convert someone, and then the person's closed-minded. So you try to, what ends up happening is you start trying to concede ground, let them define terms, let them define what's real and whatever. And then you think you're going to get an into them. You have to recognize when they're closed-minded and they're not really they're not representing themselves accurately. Because sometimes when you probe and you find out what counts as evidence, it's like, well, okay, that doesn't work. That may work for them, or that may be the way they go about business, but it's not what will work for you. In that case, just stop trying to convince them. You can, if they're trying to get in your face and convince you or mock you, you have to recognize what their mission is. In the military, you try to figure out what the mission of the opponent is. Is the mission of the opponent to genuinely learn, to understand? Is it to mock you, to degrade you, to humiliate you, to try to convert you, etc.? When you can kind of get a feel for that, you can respond appropriately. Why would they mock you or insult you or whatever? Sometimes it makes them feel good. That's about all their miserable lives can amount to, because putting down other people makes them feel good. You have to recognize those people like that. I don't like dealing with people like that. If you've noticed people who are, many people who are very accomplished are very kind often. They can be gruff, but in my experience, the ones that are eager to put you down are the ones that are not feeling too good about themselves. People who feel very good about themselves tend to project that onto other people. They express kindness, and they don't feel the need to put other people down just to make themselves look better, or look better in their own eyes. So try to recognize that. So, I may back up a little bit now into the exchange, just so you understand what I was trying to do. So it says, so I said, Docta Osiris, well, thank you Okay, so let me just back up a little bit. So Docta Osiris says, evidence and reasons. Well, to a response like that, all I can say is that I feel bad for you, that you're incapable of critical thinking or looking up the definition of evidence. So you see the condescension there. Right off, trying to insult me, doesn't even know me, right off trying to just, I came, I visited this channel to show a little support and courtesy to his friend, and he comes out and insults me. Real jerk. So I'm going to deal with him in like manner. In some respects, I was too nice to some of the losers on the channel, and if they visit here, I'm going to ban them. Like probably Brian Stevens. I already banned Docta Osiris. It makes me so happy to ban people when they try to intrude on this channel. It's just like Clint Eastwood when he says, "Make my day." And when they show up and I ban them, that makes my day. So guys who are eager to troll my channel like PMARS, make my day. I'm looking forward to dispensing with you and flushing you down the toilet. And there was another guy who came on a sock account. I don't even remember his sock. I thought that was low and dirty. And I'm glad I banned him twice at least. Some people just feel entitled to come where they're not welcome. So, nope. Just start your own YouTube channel, and if people want to listen to you, fine. I'm not going to give people a platform to intrude and force their views on people that don't want to hear them. That's just rude. So I look at YouTube as kind of a house. We're owners of the house, the channel, and we decide who gets invited and who doesn't, and who gets disinvited. So anyway, let's go back. Docta Osiris, well, to a response like that, all I can say is that I feel bad for you, that you're incapable of critical thinking or looking up the definition of evidence. And I responded, well, thank you for your sympathies for my supposed pathetic state. That's very kind of you. Because he's saying, I'll point out that he actually did insinuate I'm pathetic. And Docta Osiris says, evidence and reasons, when did I say that you were pathetic? I offered no such insult. I just offered my sympathy based on evidence you gave me. I can prove that to be true. Can you? Persecution complex is real, guys. It's not a persecution complex. The guy is insulting me. A complex is when you think someone's insulting you and they're not. It's clearly he's insulting me. And I said, Docta Osiris, so what would count as evidence of God for you? A violation of natural expectation counts as evidence for me. I'm just pointing that out. And then Docta Osiris says, and thanks for the apology. Oh, wait, whatevs, cracks knuckles. You say miracles. Funny, because every miracle can easily be explained using natural laws. No, it can't. Idiotic statement, but he's asserting it nonetheless. Easily. He reminds me of Dave Farina saying it's easy to make any biomolecule, but let's go on. Necessary. Okay. Am I going to get an apology for the accusation or not? And so I said, no, because you said you're incapable of critical thinking. And Docta Osiris says, or is that your definition of miracle? And but you demonstrably are. That doesn't make you pathetic. And I certainly didn't say anything of the kind. And someone weighs in, miracles have no evidence or reasons to think they are valid. Now, I'm going to point out something that Docta Osiris said. He said, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you, okay? So this will play into something I'm going to point out later. So I said, I don't want to spam Hive show with our skirmish. Okay, so you didn't specifically use the word pathetic. I apologize. You're insulting me for saying I'm incapable of critical thinking. And Docta Osiris says, if you see people who are incapable of critical thinking as pathetic, then that's your problem, not a me. That's a you problem, not a me problem. And I point out the definition: pathetic, arousing pity, especially through vulnerability or sadness. I aroused sadness in someone. He said, he said, I feel bad for you. So he did insinuate I was pathetic. Caught him on that. I could have caught him on more, but I just don't want to waste my time with people like that. I am wasting it now because it was a good exercise in rhetoric, and I'm going to try to learn to avoid that, but sometimes you do encounter them, and you have to learn. It's good to have, to experience how to put them down. And then Docta Osiris said, I'm just trying to work you out. I'm not here to insult you, bull. Sorry, that's what I feel. He says, I'm not here to insult you. If you're taking it that way, then my point stands. Sorry if that's harsh, but I'm not here to coddle you either. And I said, Docta Osiris, who appointed you judge and jury of what is true? Yourself? And again, I'm just pointing out he's acting like he's the final. He has the God complex there. I'm calling him out on it. He said, who appointed you judge and jury of what is true? Yourself? And he says, no, science and reality and demonstrable evidence did. Who made you the same? Your demonstrably false book? Just saying, geez, who's using an attitude or miracles? Does he define what reality is? Does he define what science is, or what's truth? I could keep repeating that. Anyway, he didn't last long on this. Okay, I just said, how do you define demonstrable? I can demonstrate abiogenesis requires a miracle according to my science. Brian Stevens says, laugh out loud, that's funny. Okay, Brian Stevens, just for that, when you come back to this channel, I'm going to ban you. I don't think you have a lot of sharps, guy. You don't have as much knowledge as you pretend, and I'm tired of dealing with people like you. Thank you. So make my day, show up here, and you're banned. And I was nice to the guy. I said, hey, Brian Stevens, bro, nice to see you. But since that time, he's said some other insults. Just don't want to deal with the guy here. And Docta Osiris says, demonstrable means demonstrating something to be true without a doubt. All you have for abiogenesis is really bad understanding of chemistry and claims God did it. That's not demonstrable. And someone like Bjorn Hartmeyer said he can refute me or something. I missed the comment there, and he said no miracle needed. And I said, okay, so he made a claim, and I said, prove it. So he gave me an in. And then Brian Stevens says, watch the takedown of the nonsense tour spews out. Brian Stevens, if you're listening, that's grounds for me not dealing with you. If you think Dave Farina is some sort of credible chemist, and you view him as an authority, I have no time for you. Docta Osiris says, you just, okay. Doc Osiris said, says to me, you just made the positive claim first. So no, you prove it before science destroys your rhetoric. And Bjorn says, buy the book, Abiogenesis, Natural Processes for the Origin of Life. And unless you can disprove his book, you got nothing. And I point out to Brian Stevens, fake Professor Dave is a joke. He said it's easy to make any biomolecule. What a joke, and that's true. Professor Dave's a joke. Seriously, guys, don't regard his science well. Why don't you learn some chemistry, and then you'll be in a position to see that he's a joke. And Brian Stevens says, if you watch the series, he backs up his claim. No, he doesn't. Why are you so dead set on believing Bull Squat? And Doc Osiris says, I don't like Professor Dave either, can't stand that psychopath, but it doesn't make him wrong, especially since he shows evidence for what he says. Speaking of evidence, I'm still waiting for yours. Why haven't you provided anything other than read this terrible book that has been debunked a million times over? And I thanked Bjorn. I said, thanks for your book recommendation. And then I said, I gave what counts as evidence for me, not for you. I don't accept you as a final authority and judge of what is true. And Doc Osiris responds, you won't get or read that book, Evidence and Reasons, and you know it. I know it. Everyone here knows it. So don't try bigging yourself up by saying the same thing twice right after I asked for your evidence. I said, okay, I didn't provide what counts as evidence for you. I reject your qualifications to be the final arbiter of what counts as reality. Do you have a problem with that? And Doc Osiris says, you need to stop with the accusations and insults. I'd rather not time you out so you can think about what you're doing. What's going on here? What's the insult? I just told him I don't accept him as an authority. How's that an insult? I'm just telling him, hey, you're not going to dictate to me what's true. Who appointed him to decide for my life what I think is true or not? I'm not trying to force my view on him. And I told him, I said, look, what I put forward doesn't count as evidence for you. Yeah, he has a real problem with that. So I said, okay, I didn't persuade you. That's all I'm saying. And, maybe he's insulted that I don't regard his opinion. And it's like, well, I can't help that. If he's insulted, okay, all right, thin skin. And you'll see he has a thin skin. And he says, and yes, I do have a problem with that. You're getting too arrogant for your boots, my friend. Okay, so what was my problem? I said, I reject your qualifications to be the final arbiter of what counts as reality. Do you have a problem with that? And he said, yes, I have a problem with that. He said, yes, he has. Okay, I reject him as being the final arbiter of what's true and what counts as reality. And I asked him, do you have a problem with me rejecting him as the final arbiter of truth and reality? He said, yes, I have a problem with that. What a dope. So this is just a little fun with someone who's just not too sharp. He's a troll. He has a God complex. Starting to put him in his place. And Doc Osiris said, I just found out I have a cataract in each eye, so I understand exactly how you feel. 3 weeks ago, I only had one. And he says, my memory sucks lemons. Okay, so the guy's not too sharp and he's having some vision problems. Anyway. So I said, okay, according to Doc Osiris, I'm incapable of critical thinking. I'll pass your evaluation to my fan club. I'll link them to this exchange. Are you happy now? He said, LMAO. Don't threaten to send your bullies my way. This is your final warning. If you can't be civil, you don't deserve to post here. Simple? Oh, so now he's threatening me as if I'm going to lose something. As if the privilege is really important to me. So I just said, I won't send my fan club here to troll you. I'll encourage them not to respond to you. They can, however, read what you say, and we can mock you on my channel instead. Is that okay? Brian Stevens says, laugh out loud. And Docta Osiris says, no more warnings. And he says, be civil, and I won't do that again. Act like an adult, please. So what he did ban me. He did ban me. Or he timed me out. He didn't ban me. But, he defines what's civil or whatever, and it's like, I just told him what I thought. If he wants to know what an insult is, I'll tell him he's a doofus. I think he can't think clearly. He's stuck up. He needs to put other people down to make himself feel better about himself. He's probably not as sharp about science as he thinks he is, because obviously he seems to think that abiogenesis is solved. He claimed that he can prove that every miracle has a natural expectation. The guy's just not the sharpest tool in the toolbox. I could be much more insulting. I was just telling him I don't accept him as being the final arbiter, and I offered to let people know of his opinion of me, and he said, don't threaten to send your bullies. I said, well, that was never my intent. So I said, no, I'm just going to let them know what he's saying about me, and I'll, if people don't like what he said, I'll give them the opportunity to mock him on my channel. And somehow he's like, that's some sort of cyberbullying or whatever. It's like, no, they can mock you if they think you're an idiot and a moron and a loser. If they feel that that's what you are they not free to express that? Anyway, that's how I feel. So that's pretty much it for this stream. It was just 30 minutes. So now I'm just gonna play a kind of the closing credits, and that will be. Let me just get all this set up. That'll be the F-104 Starfighter. Beautiful poem by John Gillespie McGee Jr. Take care, everybody, and God bless you.
I have slept the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space. Put out my hand and touched the face of God.